I never thought I'd be the kind of person telling a story like this. If you'd asked me 2 years ago what happens after death, I would have laughed, shrugged, or said, "Nothing. The lights just go out." But everything changed the day I died, and came back. What I saw, what I heard, and most importantly, what Jesus himself told me, has turned my entire life upside down. My name is Sarah. I'm 34 years old, and for most of my adult life, I lived openly as a lesbian. I wasn't ashamed of it. In fact, I was proud. I had a long-term partner, friends in the LGBTQ+ community, and I wore my identity like a badge of honor. I grew up in a Christian household, but by the time I was a teenager, I had walked away from the church. I told myself I didn't need God's approval because I believed God was either cruel, distant, or non-existent. The night it happened started like any other. I had just finished dinner with my partner, and I wasn't feeling well. Tightness in my chest, a pounding headache. I ignored it, thinking it was stress, but within an hour my body collapsed on the living room floor. The last thing I heard was my partner screaming my name as everything went dark, and then something strange happened. I realized I wasn't in my body anymore. I floated above the scene, watching paramedics rush into our apartment, trying to revive me. I should have felt panic, but instead I felt detached, as if I was watching a movie. Yet, deep inside, I knew. I was dead. The darkness came next. Not peaceful sleep, but a suffocating void, endless and heavy. It was as though I had been swallowed into an abyss. The air was thick with despair, and I heard distant cries, screams that made my blood run cold even though I no longer had blood. I tried to run, but my feet sank into nothingness. Fear consumed me. For the first time, I realized how wrong I had been about eternity. In that moment of terror, a light pierced the blackness. It wasn't just light, it was a presence. Warmth flooded the void, pushing back the shadows. I turned, and there he was, Jesus. I didn't recognize him from church paintings or stained glass windows. He was more real, more alive than anything I had ever known. His eyes locked on mine, eyes that saw everything I was, everything I had done, and yet radiated a love so fierce I broke down in his gaze. "Sarah," he said, and the sound of my name on his lips shook me to the core. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried authority that silenced every scream around me. "I made you. I know you, and I have called you to life." I fell to my knees, trembling. All my pride, my anger, my excuses dissolved in that moment. I knew I was standing before the King of Kings, and there was no hiding from him. Memories of my life played out. Times I rejected him. Times I mocked his name. Times I chose my desires over his will. Shame hit me like a tidal wave. Through tears, I whispered, "But I thought you hated me. I thought I was too far gone." Jesus reached out his hand, and when his light touched me, the weight of my guilt melted. "I do not hate you. I came to save you. But Sarah, you must turn back. The path you have walked leads to destruction. You cannot serve both your desires and me. Choose life. Choose me." His words cut straight into me. My chest burned with conviction. For the first time in years, I didn't feel defiant. I felt seen, loved, and broken. I wanted him. I wanted his light more than anything. I don't know how long I was with him. Time didn't exist in that place, but before I knew it, he said, "You must return. Tell them what you have seen. Tell them that I am real and I am coming soon." I screamed, "No, don't send me back. I just want to stay with you." But his eyes held both compassion and command. "It is not your time. Go." With that, I felt myself being pulled backward, through the tunnel of light, past the shadows, back into the heaviness of my body. I gasped for air as paramedics shouted, "We've got a pulse!" I was alive, but nothing would ever be the same again. When I opened my eyes in the hospital, I thought it had all been a dream. Tubes ran through my nose, machines beeped beside me, and my partner sat at the edge of the bed, tears streaming down her face. She gripped my hand and whispered, "You scared me to death, Sarah. They said you were gone for almost 20 minutes, but I knew it wasn't a dream." I could still feel the echo of his voice in my soul. I could still see his eyes, burning with love and truth. The weight of his words pressed on me. Tell them what you have seen. In the days that followed, I couldn't shake the memory. While doctors called my survival a medical miracle, I knew it was more than that. Jesus had spared me, given me another chance. But with that chance came a terrifying responsibility. The hardest part was facing my reality. My partner loved me, and I loved her deeply in the only way I knew how, but after what I experienced, I couldn't deny the conviction burning inside me. Jesus hadn't condemned me with hatred. He had called me with love. He asked me to lay down my desires and follow him. And I knew I couldn't ignore him anymore. Tears choked me when I finally spoke. I saw Jesus, I whispered to my partner one evening. She looked at me with confusion, then fear. What do you mean? I mean, I died. And he came to me. He told me I had to turn back, that I had to leave the path I was on. Her eyes widened. She shook her head, anger and heartbreak mixing in her expression. So what? You're saying everything about us is wrong? After all these years, I didn't want to hurt her. I didn't want to throw away the life we had built. But the truth weighed heavier than my comfort. I can't pretend anymore. I met him. He's real, and he's asking me to choose him. She cried. I cried. Our relationship unraveled in the weeks that followed. It was the hardest decision I've ever made, walking away from someone I loved so much. But deep inside, I knew obedience to Jesus had to come first. Friends called me brainwashed. Some mocked me, saying I invented the story to excuse abandoning my identity. But I knew what I had seen, and the more I prayed, the more I read the Bible, the more real he became to me. One night, as I wrestled in prayer, I felt his presence again, not in a vision this time, but in the quiet of my heart. And he reminded me of his words, "Tell them what you have seen." So I began to speak. At first, it was just to close friends. I told them I had died, met Jesus, and that he warned me this world is not forever. Some laughed, some listened with wide eyes, some cut me off completely. But I couldn't stop. Because here is the shocking message Jesus gave me and the one I am carrying now. There is no middle ground. We are either walking toward him or away from him. We cannot cling to sin and still claim to belong to him. His love is real. His forgiveness is greater than we can imagine, but his call requires surrender. He showed me that eternity is not a vague concept. Hell is real. I heard the cries in that abyss. Heaven is real. I felt the warmth of his light, and the choices we make here matter. My sexuality, my rebellion, my pride, all the things I thought defined me were nothing compared to his glory. He wasn't calling me because he hated me. He was calling me because he wanted to free me. Now, I live differently. I'm not perfect. I still struggle with loneliness, with questions, with the ache of leaving behind someone I loved. But I also live with hope. I wake up every day knowing I was spared for a reason. I share my testimony online, at small groups, even with strangers when the moment opens. And I tell them this: I died. I met Jesus. He told me to tell you he is real, he is coming soon, and you must choose him now. Some roll their eyes, others weep, but I speak anyway, because I can still feel his eyes on me, his hand reaching out in that darkness, pulling me into light. If you've read this far, maybe you're wrestling, just as I once did. Maybe you think you're too far gone, or that your desires define you, or that God could never love you. I know those lies. I lived them. But I'm here, alive, breathing, because Jesus shattered them. I was a lesbian, convinced God hated me, certain there was no afterlife. But then I died, and the shocking truth I brought back is this: Jesus is real. He loves you, and he is asking you, just as he asked me, to choose him before it's too late.